Soon. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. It's your life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley. I am Dr. Michelle Cooley, and we have Dr. Michael Mantell on the show and our amazing producer, Todd. How are you guys doing today? Todd?
Fine. He's so busy doing fine. There he is.
Oh, wow. So, this is going to be an exciting show. Did you get a chance to look at the agenda, Todd, and the topic at hand?
I didn't. We're down a few staff members here at the station, so it's been a little bit busy, but I know every one of your shows is always a great one.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's definitely a great one. And it's called The Banking Industry and Small Business. So Dr. Mantell, are you proficient in this area, or what are you interested in?
I was telling our guests right before we came on, I am so inefficient about this topic. I don't know anything about banking. I have to ask my wife, what bank do we use? So these questions are going to be very natural, very real from someone who's like, I remember when I was a young kid and they used to go to the bank with a bank book and they would stamp it because I gave $1 for Christmas or whatever it was. It's going to be a great show. And looking forward to having our guests come on and get on with our wonderful conversation.
Oh, most definitely. So now we're bringing in the radio portion. So let's go, Todd.
All right, here we go. We're locking it in. We're just going to hear the very end of this little promo, and then we're going to start It's Your Life.
To learn how you can live better with shortness of breath, mark your calendar for the last Thursday of every month. Proudly sponsored by La Mesa Rehab and Pulmonary Therapy.
The best care you can have at La Mesa Rehab.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hey, hello, I'm Dr. Michelle Cooley, and here is Dr. Michael Mantell.
Hello, everyone.
We're here, It's Your Life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and we're excited, especially about the topic today and the amazing.
We have a one. Yes.
Oh, most wonderful. So, hey, Todd, are you excited to hear about the topic today and the point of discussion?
Yes, we always, finance is important, so I gotta get our monies in straight.
Oh, Well, Doctor, just to let every audience know, Dr. James J.C. Cooley will not be on the show today. Unfortunately, he lost his daughter yesterday evening, and we just want to thank everybody for their well wishes and the appreciation, and we will thank you for all your prayers. So, with that being said, Todd, what is the number for people who want to join and call in and ask the guests some amazing questions for our topic today?
Yes, if you have any question or comment, please call 1-888-344-1170. That's 1-888-344-1170.
Okay. So, audience, today's topic is the banking industry and small business. And we're having a sit-down conversation with Richard Ojuri. He's the Vice President, Relationship Manager, and a business banker. He's going to discuss how is the small business economic state, what he wants out the banking industry, and how small businesses can work with their bank and minorities working in banking. So, again, he strives to help business owners within the community, especially minority business owners, and connect them to resources within the community. His favorite slogan is, I've been helping business owners before it was cool to help business owners. You can also catch Richard at a nearby restaurant trying new food and enjoying a night out with his friends and family. So, ladies and gentlemen, audience, please welcome to the show, Mr. Richard Ojuri.
Hey, hi, Richard.
Hey, good morning. Oh, not good morning. Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
One of those days.
San Diego, it's still afternoon.
Yeah. It's afternoon here. It's 5 o'clock here. So
The most important question we can ask you is, what's your favorite food?
rice, man. I like rice. I need to cut back on my rice, but I love rice.
All
Rice?
right.
What kind of rice?
So I'm from Nigeria, so I love jollof rice or white rice over what we call stew, our pepper stew.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now you're making me hungry. I see why you like to, if your favorite thing is to go to restaurants and hang out with family and friends. So I guess I'm going to start by asking you this question. You grew up in Nigeria, okay? What was the example? What were the role models that you had that helped you move in the direction of becoming a vice president and get into banking?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, right? Because I had no fruition or even any idea I was going to be in banking, actually. So I'm from Nigeria, but I'm the first Nigerian American of my family born in the States. So I was born in the States, grew up in Prince George's County in Maryland, and majority of my family is in consulting. So majority of my cousins are in consulting. So when I graduated from college, I kind of want to follow in their footsteps of being a consultant. I wanted to be a consultant for like the Deloittes and the McKinseys, but I always tell people I was a little bit too cocky for my good. I had a cousin that was a manager at Deloitte. Had another family friend that was an associate partner at McKinsey. So I thought by my connections, I was going to, get into one of those firms easily. I liked Deloitte at the time more than McKinsey, just due to the recruitment style. They were more accessible. So I went on to my final round interview with Deloitte. Didn't study again because I was so cocky, thinking I was going to get it. Didn't get it.
I love this guy.
I didn't get it. I had two offers out of college. Either I go with CGI, another consulting firm, and move to Pittsburgh, which I wasn't going to do, or go to with M&T, which is where I'm currently at, and be there. I was still cocky in my head. I was like, you know what? I'm probably gonna be at M&T for about a year and go hit on my family friend at McKinsey to kind of give me the leg room there. Went to M&T, still think I'm only gonna be there for a year until I stumbled upon what I do now, commercial banking, and I've been there ever since. Love it. Love meeting all walks of life and business owners, and it's what I do.
So what do you love about the banking industry? I mean, what challenges you being part of the banking industry, and what increases your drive to just strive better and just be a part of this amazing industry? Because the banking industry is very vast. So Can you kind of go into that?
Yeah. So what I love about it, I meet all walks of life, right? I meet all walks of life, whether that's people that, you know, just started out, people that are experienced. And it's like, I just love that for myself, because then I'm able, they confide in me about why they built their business. Because majority of business owners, that's their baby, right? They want to be with them forever, hold their baby strong and tight. And I'm able to get a piece of their little baby and help them out and add value in any way necessary. And what hurts is a little bit about the industry is I have an issue of getting too attached sometimes. So sometimes when I meet these new business owners and they tell me about their story, tell me about their business, and it's like I'm all in. But sometimes, you know, some of the business owners don't meet some of the criteria that your traditional bank will do. So,
Richard, what's the economic state of small businesses in our country today?
right now, they're being faced with high interest rates right now. So it's a little bit hard to get your traditional lending. And commercial real estate is a little bit down. So business owners that want to, you know, go into commercial real estate is having a little bit tougher entry into it due to interest rates that they are having right now. So that's pretty much where the small business economy is at, struggling for getting access to capital.
And so is that the major economic challenge today? How do I deal with getting this capital and so forth? And how does your bank help those folks?
Yeah, so that is one of the main ones, because as you know, coming from COVID, where interest rates were little to nothing, and then now we're at the interest rates at about 8% and stuff like that. It can be challenging for that. Where how we help out is we have a lot of community partners that we work out with. So I'm gonna give a shout out to FSC First, Meridian Management Group, EMS Commercial, and Wild Gap Funding, where business owners that don't qualify for our funding, we typically transfer them over to those type of companies to help give them some funds when we can't do it.
Wow. So why did you want to discuss this topic today, especially when it comes to the banking industry and small businesses? You know, we're used to hearing about large corporations, large organizations, you know, working with banks, but you got a small business, you know, such as it can be 2 people, 3 people. It's basically small. Why did you want to discuss this specific topic on small businesses and the banking industry?
Yeah, I think it's a huge factor that people need to go into, right? When you guys thinking about small business, it's funny when people hear small business, they think about, just like you said, 3 to 4 people, right? But small business is actually a large group of business owners that have over, you know, 100 employees sometimes, you know, or less than that, right? I don't know the specific definition of small business, but I have clients that have well over 200 employees that are in small businesses, right? And when you look at the large corporations, the vast majority of our population are employed by our small businesses. So I think it's essential for us to talk about our small businesses, to talk about who's really doing the hiring, who's really giving back to the community out there. Because we guys go to eat at these restaurant chains, these aren't large corporations. Majority of the time, they're small business. You know, when you go into the mall to shop, those are small business and stuff of that nature.
Let me ask you about minority-owned businesses.
Yeah.
What specific programs or initiatives do banks offer to support a minority-owned business in accessing capital and overcoming historic barriers to financing?
Yeah, so we do a lot of stuff, right? Majority of banks, M&T, we have our program, and our program is called the 0 to 100 program, where we help out business owners that have been in business for about 2 years. Majority are in that minority business owners. We help to give them, you know, kind of help them, teach them about how to leverage their business, introduce them to other politics figures or people of influence within their community, and help them just connect the dots and stuff of that nature on the how to leverage their banking relationship and the people around them.
Now, Richard, you know, interest rates, you know, they go up, they go down, and it's harder for small businesses, even if you're an entrepreneur. So let's discuss, or let's start before the break about, let's say, the major economic challenges facing small businesses. Can you name a few? Let's just start with one for now.
Yeah, like I said a little bit earlier, access to capital, right? So before COVID, business owners could come in there, get funding, and then with their funding, they'll have a low interest rate, you know, little to none. Now, business owners are getting denied not because they're not strong. It's just because the appetite for a lot of banks just aren't where they want to be at right now for a lot of things. So that's one of the main things I'm seeing right now. And then also finding talent is another thing, right? A lot of people just aren't working the way they used to work, right? Business owners are having trouble finding talent to satisfy their job requirements, what they need to get done.
Okay, well, we got to get ready to go into break, but hey, everybody, if you want to join the conversation, call 888-344-1170. It's Your Life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll be right back.
There's more stories of greatness to It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Black.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right. Hey. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Doctor.
Hi, welcome back to It's Your Life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley with our co-host, Dr. Michael Mantel, and our guest, Richard Ojuri. So please, audience, bring in your comments, call in 1-888-344-1170. Questions for this amazing guest. And our topic again is the banking industry and small business. Richard, you before the break, you were talking about some of the challenges facing the small businesses with the banks. Can you kind of finish that? And we'll go with Dr. Mantel's question.
Yeah. Just, like I was saying, access to capital, you need capital to, keep your business going. And then, you go into your bank thinking and hope that your bank can, give you that funding, and you having challenges and doing that is one of the main things. And then also being able to afford those interest rates and paying that monthly payment back. That's one of the things on the banking side. And not on the banking side is also just hiring people, right? You need people to hire. Do you have the capital to do it? It's the talent out there for you to do it. That's some of the challenges I've been seeing.
Richard, I've been reading very recently this week about multiple major banks and very similar prominent institutions that have taken to warning of a looming correction with the potential to turn into a full-blown crisis, as issues such as overconcentration or growing transfer of wealth to the rich loss of temporary service jobs, and others have started really piling up. Goldman Sachs, for example, on this week, their traders have become wary of what's to come, as they're explaining that analysts and investors, including themselves, are overly bullish. What's your experience? What do we as Americans have to look forward to in this economy right now?
Yeah, I think the economy's going to turn. I mean, right now, we're not doing too bad and we're not doing too good also. I think we're in a cool scene. Again, I'm not in the business of predicting the future. I think a lot of my colleagues sit here and they try to predict the future. I'm not here to predict the future. I'm more so to tell everyone what I'm seeing right now and then give my thoughts on what's to come. And what I think is to come is a better oversight, right? I think the interest rates will may come down, later on in the year. I think we start to see it, because business owners are still spending money, right? I'm still getting hit up every day for loans. I still see my business clients out there spending money. Of course, it's not as much as they used to be spending last year or 2 years ago, but they're still spending money, and that's a good thing. And what I see with the temporary loss of service jobs is, with AI coming into play, it is going to take over some jobs, but it's also going to create some jobs, right? I think people are being a little bit too scared of AI instead of looking at the benefits of AI. I think it's going to be used as a tool more so than it is to be there to replace somebody else. Because when you think about it, AI was made by a human. It's going to have human error. So there has to be humans there to use it. Yeah.
Wow, that's a very interesting take on AI. So Richard, small businesses, can you give advice to the audience, people listening? If you have a small business, what steps can you take to establish and maintain a strong relationship with your bank, especially if you want to do business with them in terms of a loan? What steps can you recommend?
Yeah, I think relationships, right? Banking is a relationship type of industry. I think if you want to establish a banking relationship, I think the first step is to open up a bank account with a bank and then establish a relationship with whether a bank branch manager or a business banking relationship manager like myself. Let us get to know you, get to know your business, see if we're the right fit for you also. Because whenever you come to a bank and you need funding right away, it's typically not a good sign, because at the end of the day, bank funding can take some time. So if you are in need of it, you're going to be waiting for, a good amount of time, just because we have to get to know you. We have to get the right package and other so I can submit it, underwrite it, and get it to my underwriters for approval. This can take a 2-month process, 2 to 3 month process for you to get your funds, right? And if you're in dire need of it, it doesn't typically end well, because you can't wait 2 to 3 months when you need that funds like yesterday.
So what financing options are currently most available, or I should say most favorable for small businesses, considering interest rates and economic conditions? If I have a small business, what options do I have available for me?
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because in banking, I like to say there's no black and white answer. Everything it honestly depends. Depends on what industry you're doing, depends on what business you're doing. Like for example, majority of businesses have a line of credit depending on in the GovCon space and in the tech space, medical space, to help pay for some of their employees, or to support hiring, because doing payroll can hurt your cash flow a lot. So they can pull from that line of credit to help them support their cash flow, so they're not using too much of their cash flow. And we also have term loans, right? If you need to buy equipment, you need to do some financing, we have term loans for that. The only segment that's taking a little bit of hit is commercial real estate. We're still doing deals all day, but it's just not as much as we're known for, or how much we used to be doing in the past. And you guys can know that due to the reason of, everyone working remotely and things of that nature.
Wow. So what role do community banks play in supporting small businesses compared to larger national banks?
Yeah, I think community banks are just more on feet on ground, boots on ground. They have a better feel of what's going on within the community. They support, the community with dollars as well, and with volunteer hours. So, for example, here at M&T Bank, we give all of our employees about 40 hours to help support the local businesses around the area, foundations, not-for-profits, anything you may have to help support people volunteer. I don't really want to speak too much on the national bank to try and compare and contrast, because there's both benefits and there's both cons in both banks. but I just think the community brings to have a better feel of what's going on in the community.
So, Richard, you mentioned earlier about the AI, and that perks up our ears. Everyone has a comment about it. Everyone has a story where they were ripped off or whatever it might be. And so I'm wondering how are emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, reshaping the banking industry?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Right now, I don't see too much of it, to be transparent. I think we're still in the initial testing stages of it. I do know there's going to be some type of tools that's going to enhance my workload. So, like, a lot of stuff is going to become easier or better. Like, for example, I can see me doing another interview like this in the future, and AIs, they're giving me answers based upon what you guys are saying, right? I see that happening in the future. Now, as far as it overtaking or controlling my job, I don't have no idea of that. Haven't seen too much. What I can tell you is majority of my clients want a real person. I think that's what's going to happen, because at the end of the day, talking financing, talking banking is a relationship, and it's a personable skill. So I don't want to talk to a robot.
Okay. Well, Richard, so what are benefits that small businesses can do by talking with bank representatives for financial planning and business strategy? Do you see that as a plus?
Yeah, I see that's a plus. I think it's just leverage, like, why not have somebody that's an expert in the field that can help leverage whatever you're going through, that has seen it multiple times, or can connect you to the dots, right? I think when people think about banking, they only think about it as lending. How about we start thinking about it as a relationship, right? If you're a small business and you are going through this, I may have a client in my portfolio that's going through the same thing you're going through, that has overcome it. I can introduce you guys, and then you guys can talk about how they did it and it become a mentorship, right? Or if you need to get introduced to somebody of politics or somebody in a higher hierarchy within your county or government, I can do that because I know many people within that field. And the great thing about bankers is, if I don't know something, someone of my colleagues knows it. So we can always lend a hand in helping you, connect you with the right resources to help you out with whatever you have going on.
Are there, we don't have a lot of time left, but that's okay. We'll get to it. But are there specific educational resources or mentorship programs that are available to help small or minority-owned businesses navigate through the complexity of bank financing and all the rest of that stuff?
Yeah, so we have the SBA. The SBA isn't everywhere. So that's Small Business Administration. They're a huge institution where they help people that are in small business navigate through being a small business owner, being an entrepreneur, right? We have something called SCORE, which also gets paid through the SBA. SCORE is a mentorship program that gives business owners a mentor that whereas an executive or a business owner within your industry, helps you navigate how to build your business and elevate your business.
How does someone get in touch with the Small Business Administration for specific help to get through this vast, banking? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, they can easily Google SBA and they can click on the website, and you can navigate to the website. You can go to SCORE SBA, navigate through that too. Or I mean, you can contact me and I can see whether I can help you pair you up with somebody.
Richard, before we go into break, first let's just start. How have recent regulatory changes impacted the relationship between banks and small businesses? And we'll talk about that a little bit more again in the next segment, but can you start that?
Yeah, I think now the reg is being a little bit more, I don't want to say harsh. I think they're just being a little bit more tight on with the banks right now due to, as we all know, the bank failures that happened. They're a little bit more on our case now. They're trying to take an extensive more due diligence on what's going on within the banking community. Now, because of this has caused some us to take a little bit longer and releasing funds a little bit longer, and I think it's given us a little bit more due diligence on how we practice with some of our business owners. So something that would have taken 2-3 weeks to approve, now it may take a month or two, just to make sure we dot our I's and we cross our I's and stuff like that, which causes a strain on the small businesses because it's just prolongs the process.
Okay. Well, we got to get ready for break now, but I just want to remind you all that Dr. Mantell and I'll be hosting the show the rest of the week due to Dr. James Cooley's loss of his daughter yesterday. And Or if you want to be part of our conversation, go to the platforms you're watching: YouTube, Facebook, E360 TV, over 65 live streaming platforms, and just ask your questions, put in a comment, or call 888-344-1170 and ask a question, and Todd will bring you in. It's Your Life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll be right back.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Hello, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
But there's things in this world that you gotta know. To be the best that you can be, you wanna grow real big into a strong tree. To be who you're created to be, the one who's gonna leave a legacy is you. But you got to have these 4 C's. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. It's the 4 C's. Gotta have it. Oh, yeah. It's the 4 C's.
Welcome back to It's Your Life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley and our co-host, Dr. Michael Mantell, and our amazing guest, Richard Ojuri. And again, the title of the show is The Banking Industry and Small Business. And we are just excited to have this guest on the show. So, Todd, what do you think of the show so far? What do you think about what Mr. Ojuri is telling the audience and educating us?
Very smart guy. I'm taking notes right now. It's very interesting. And my only question is, what I'm interested is, how is technology nowadays helping small business and banking?
Oh, good question.
It definitely sped up everything, right? Whereas before, people have to call in and do a lot of stuff, where now everything is on the grips of your phone or on your computer. It kind of scares me sometimes, because it helps out our bad guys, which is fraudsters, get more access to bank accounts, because everything is so digital now, where as soon as you log in with your password, your information may be out there. Or if it's sending a wire, right? Whereas before you have to come to the branches or call it in. If you send a wire now, you may be sending it to a fraudster, right? There's just a lot of fraud that's increased now because of how the technology has increased, but it also helped out businesses speed up transactions and create new business owners out there too, to help with the technologies.
Just to follow up on that interest, very good question. It's been in the back of my mind every time we talk about anything online, credit card, buying, anything. What steps are banks taking, or should banks be taking, to enhance cybersecurity and protect customer data in this increasingly digital environment?
Yeah, so we have a robust fraud department. I got to give it out to them. They work day in, day out, 24 hours, right? So we have a squad here that looks for any fake account. So what has happened is a lot of fraudsters will create a fake account. So let's say, for example, you Google M&T Bank, there may be a fake website link out there. You put in your login information to capture it, and they try to log it in and grab your access to your funds. So our fraud department is working day in, day out to delete those as soon as they go live, and they've done a phenomenal job in doing that. We have our 24-hour customer service helpline to help out with fraud activities as well. And here at M&T Bank, some of my clients get mad about how strict we take our fraud. Sometimes when they travel and they don't let us know, we cancel out some of their items, which can give me a little bit of a hard day at work because they're calling me, cursing me out. But at the end of the day, once I explain to them about protecting their funds, they're happy with it. They get over it, and it's part of the business.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I think, so I'm just curious, minorities in the banking business, right? So what challenges do you see, if any, facing minorities and advancing their careers within the banking industry? And what initiatives should banks implement to support their professional growth?
Yeah, I think it's hard. There's not a lot of people like ourselves in the banking industry, if I'm to be transparent, right? When I started out, I was blessed to, have a mentor that took me underneath his wing and advocated for me behind closed doors, which is how I got to where I got to today. It's just hard. I wish there was more people like us out there in the community that were doing the work, and I could mentor people that have that want to go out there and do what I'm doing now, right? Which is why I have such an open door policy that whoever wants leadership, just advice. I don't even call it mentorship, right? Because it's just advice. If you have advice or just have questions, call me, text me, DM me. I'm here to help out with anybody who needs it. Because when I was coming up, there wasn't a lot of people that I could go to help that looked like myself that could advise me on how to move a certain way and then turn their back on the people once they made it to a certain level.
So to follow up on that, how are banks addressing potential biases in lending practices to ensure fair access to credit for minority-owned businesses?
Yeah, this is a good question. We do a lot of stuff, right? It's kind of like what I mentioned earlier today, where I don't think a lot of people give us a bad name sometimes when it comes to giving out funds because they may get rejected or they may get declined. But this all goes back to having relationships, right? Before I put in a deal, I kind of look through my client's financials, and if I don't think it's a strong application, I say, hey, look, I don't recommend you put this through. We still can't. So it's totally up to you because there's regulations on that. If you want to put it in, we can put it in. I don't recommend it. But what I can do is I can reach out to some of our CDFIs that banks do work with and do fund sometimes to help support you with this funding so that you can get access to funds, right? So the CDFIs that I work with, that if you're in a DMV area to take a look at, is FSC First, Meridian Management Group, EMS Commercial, and Wild Gap Funding. Those are like the four that I work with to help get business owners access to capital when I can't give them access to capital.
So how can minority-owned businesses leverage community development financial institutions, CDFIs, and other specialized lenders in addition to traditional banks?
I think it's good to store your money with a regular bank, right? And then to build that relationship, right? So that when time does come to funding, you can talk to your banker like myself so that there could be a warm relationship or a warm introduction to those CDFIs. Because again, sometimes it's not about what you know, is about who you know, right? 9 times out of 10, if I'm telling my CDFI, hey, I have a client that we just can't get it off the books, whether that's due to credit or they're just not cash flowing right, I can refer them to my CDFI and they'll take my word for it of it being a good deal, and they'll make something work out of it because they do know we fund them sometimes, and we built that relationship and that rapport that, hey, they trust my word for it. If they think I can make something work, then we can make something work.
Richard, I'm a small business owner and I want to get a loan for the bank to support my business, help it grow. But let's be realistic. What do banks look for as far as collateral, credit history? We know those terminologies when someone's lending you their money, but with a small business owner, are they looking at the general partners of that business, their credit history, if they have any outstanding loans. Can you kind of walk us through? I'm a small business owner. Let's say I have bankruptcy years and years ago as a business person, but that's been cleared. Can you give us a realistic expectation of what the bank is really looking at?
Yeah, and it's funny. I say this all the time. It honestly depends, right? But I'm gonna depict everything that you said. It depends. There's no yes or no answer. Some people come up to me and they say, "Hey, if I have bad credit, can I get a loan?" The answer is it depends. Why do you have bad credit, right? There has to be a story behind why you're going through, right? You said you had bankruptcy. Why did you have bankruptcy? Was it because you took on too much debt to establish your business, and or what? Did you get sued? You know, there has to be a story behind it, and it'd be very transparent. If you're still going through bankruptcy and you have a lot of debt that you have to pay, the chances of you getting a loan is kind of slim. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's kind of slim. Now, when it comes to credit, there are thresholds that some banks have that you need to meet in order to get loans. Now, again, it depends. If you're in the medical field and you have low credit, banks can be more lenient to you because we understand that you have a lot of debt due to student loan income, or a lot of debt due to you've been in school all your life, right? But we also know banks love medical companies, so we're willing to do those little bit riskier deals, right? That is why the SBA works with banks to take on a little bit of that risk, so we can lend out money to those risky businesses and stuff of that nature. And then you were also talking about when it comes to collateral, it depends on what you're doing, right? So if you're getting a line of credit, we're going to get your working capital as collateral, right? If you're buying equipment, your equipment is going to be your collateral. If you're buying a building, your building is going to be collateral. Whatever you're using to go buy with that loan is 9 times out of 10 going to be that collateral. Now, when it comes to lines of credit, it can be a little bit more strategic and different, but we can talk about that a little bit more.
Thank you. I've got 1 more minute before the break. What do I need to do as a small business owner as far as research in deciding which bank I approach in order to get a loan?
I think honestly, you need to interview banks, right? So I tell people all the time, yes, I'm a banker. Don't just take my word for it, even though I know I'm pretty confident in my answers, but don't just take my word for it. Do your research and interview other banks, right? See how responsive those other banks are to you. If you guys are running businesses, is your bank going to have you sit on hold for hours? When 9 out of 10, we know that a lot of business owners can't do that because you have a business to run. All of my clients have my cell number. They call me, text me, because they know sometimes I'm not checking out my email because I'm in the field, or I'm underwriting a deal, or I'm holding meetings like this, right? So if you need an immediate answer, you're going to call me or text me, and I'm be able to help you out.
Well, hold that thought. We're getting ready to take a break. It's Your Life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll be right back.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Let's go. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. All right. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Welcome back to It's Your Life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley. I'm Dr. Michelle Cooley, and our co-host is Dr. Michael Mantel, and our guest is Richard Ojuri, and the title is The Banking Industry and Small Business. Hey, audience, if you want to be part of our conversation, it's not too late. Go to the platforms you're watching from, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, E360 TV, over 65 live stream platforms, and just type in your question or your comment, or you could call 1-888-344-1170, and Todd will patch you in. So, Richard, we left off when you were kind of finishing up about how small businesses should do their research and which banks they need to approach for a small business loan. Can you kind of finish up with that?
Yeah, Betty, I'll put a summary in it. Pretty much just ultimately interview different banks, see how responsive they are, see how personable they are, right? All my clients have my cell number. They text me, call me. I don't allow them to call 1-800 numbers, because when you need an answer right away, you need to be able to reach me right away. And just ultimately see who cares about you, right? If they tell they're going to do something, test them. Are they going to do it, or are they not going to do it? That really matters when it goes into your banking relationship, because it's very personable.
So I have a question. We're talking about small businesses and so forth. When I was a kid in elementary school in Newark, New Jersey, the local bank, Howard Savings, I think it was, if I remember correctly. I can't even remember the name now. But they had a program for elementary school kids. And the bank set up banking for us children. And once a week, we're supposed to come and put some money in the bank and save a couple of pennies, whatever it may be. Here's the bank book and stamp the bank book and all that. Do banks have programs for children? Are banks going into schools, particularly in tough neighborhoods, and teaching kids about banking and savings and whatnot?
Yeah, we are. I mean, majority of banks are still doing it. It just doesn't get as noticed as we would like. But I think what does get noticed is our partnerships, right? So here in the DMV area, I'm not sure if they're throughout, other places, but there's something called JBizTown, where kids kind of, get a job of that nature, and they act like they have a job and representative, and they go in there, and the banks sometimes sponsor that, and then they let them know how tough it is to have a salary, having to pay bills, having kids, and it gives them a real life point of view how life is, right? And going into these different communities, low, moderate income neighborhoods, and teaching students and teaching parents how to do it, right? Because sometimes it's not even about the students. Sometimes it's about what they're being taught at home, right? And also, as we grow, as how diverse America is, a lot of us our families weren't even born here. So we're coming from places where the banking institution in Africa or in Europe or stuff wasn't as stable as it is here in America. So the trust may be a little bit different.
Richard, we got a question from one of our viewers, Billy Harper. He wants to know, how did COVID change the landscape of lending as it relates to PPL loans?
Honestly, I actually truly thought that think that COVID opened up banks' eyes a little bit. But I mean, I think we are far gone from the COVID mindset, I will say. I mean, COVID happened 3-4 years ago. So a lot of times when I'm talking to clients about that, we're not even talking about COVID, because a lot of times if they mention they had a COVID year, that's cool. That was in 2021 and 2020. So what happened 2022, 2023, and 2024? We can't blame COVID. We can't blame COVID for that anymore. So it's a little bit of, thinking about the future, letting the past be the past and moving forward. Now, of course, a lot of business owners were hurt from COVID, closed down and stuff of that nature. Again, that's sad. We hate to see that happen, but we're still being there with many different resources we have in the community to help out those business owners that did struggle during COVID.
Interesting. Richard, what about people? Your case is an interesting case where you came through the bank, You had role models in other companies and so forth. What challenges do people face, particularly minorities, I guess, specifically, in advancing their careers within the banking industry? And what are banks doing to support this professional growth?
Yeah, I think the challenge is being complacent and also not a risk taker. I think some people have an idea in their mind of what they want to do. And sometimes if they get presented with a new opportunity, they say no because it's not what they envision in their head. I say, why say no and say yes if it makes sense to you, right? Say that yes, it may not be what you want now, but I mean, whatever knowledge that you're going to learn from that opportunity could use and be of great use to you when you reach that destination that you want. And I think banks should just create more programs, right? I know right now it's a hot topic. I don't really want to touch much on it though, but the DEI stuff is a hot topic right now. A lot of corporations are foregoing it and stuff of that nature. I think that stuff is very important to people of minorities. So I'd rather instead of them creating all these programs and stuff, how about let's create happy hours within the community? I mean, within our company, so other people that look like ourselves can just get to know that hey, we have other people within the company that look like us. And then maybe they can, create a natural mentorship, because one thing that's bad is creating a forced mentorship. If you just force somebody to mentor somebody, it doesn't really bode well. It's like, okay, what do you need help with? What can I help you? Whereas if it comes naturally, you just tend to want to just help out the person just because you guys built a relationship off bond and it becomes natural. The best things happen naturally, not forced.
Wow. Richard, what changes would you like to see implemented within the banking industry besides the couple of the things you addressed just a couple of minutes ago and just now?
It's a good question. I haven't really put much thought into it, if I'm to be honest, but off the top of my head, I would love to see the banking industry. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I would love to have us kind of have a CDFI segment in a sense, right? So yes, we have CDFI. I don't want to put them out of business, but I mean, I would love for us to have an arm and like just doing loans that we know that like may not be profitable. I know that doesn't sound business-like, but I mean, sometimes we need to help out some of those business owners that need help, that if they don't get this amount of money, they can be the end for them.
We have just a couple of moments left. Richard, what's your next step? What's your next step in your career?
I mean, honestly, I think it's just being an advocate for business owners, right? So I told myself I really want to lead business owners to success, right? When people think about a banker, I'm going to think about me. I have a funny name. I nickname myself the $1 billion banker, not because I have $1 billion, but because I done helped so many people get funds that will equal up to over $1 billion, right? I want to be doing big deals.
People want to get in touch with you to get involved in this $1 billion banking passion you have. How can they be in touch with you?
Yeah, my email is ROJURI, so the first letter of my name and then my last name at mtb.com. Reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you out or connect the dots with anybody.
That sounds great.
So what takeaways in less than 30 seconds or less, what takeaways do you want to leave with the audience regarding this topic, the banking industry and small businesses?
Yeah, the one thing I want to know is if you're going to business, let the end goal be to sell it. Don't live and die with your business, because, at the end of the day, how you're going to leave something for your next generation, right? The whole goal of business is to sell it. So that's my 30 seconds worth of fame. I can expand on it longer, but yep, just one.
Well, you know what, Richard, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show and just discussing and educating the audience on the banking industry and small businesses. And audience, we thank you for your participation. Thank you, Dr. Michael Mantell, for co-hosting the show today.
My pleasure. We're going to be having a great show tomorrow on 360 Degree Health.
Oh, yes. Wednesday, 360 Degree Health. Audience, please tune into that. So we appreciate your prayers. We appreciate your condolences on the passing of. We appreciate everything. And you guys take care. See you tomorrow, 360 Degree Health. Thank you.
Michelle, you're the best.
JC Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley.